What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with the second breakdown of the week. We already got the Bellator 292 breakdown, I believe it is, on the channel. Benson Henderson, Usman Nurmagomedov for the lightweight title. Today is the LFA 154 and the PFL Challenger Series Week 7 betting breakdown show. Going to combine the other two MMA shows of Friday night, and then tomorrow, Wednesday at 2 p.m., we'll be back live with Lubetia, as well as just my 2 cents. Without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into the main card of the LFA. Sao Paulo, Brazil is where it's taking place, so we do have Brazilian talent top to bottom on this card. For the most part, was able to find tape on these guys. A few of these guys was unable to find tape, but we'll make that very clear as we go. Rodolfo Bellato taking on Matthias Meszaros here in the first fight of the night. Bellato getting a late notice replacement in the 12-10 fighter out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, as well as Rodolfo. Rodolfo coming off of the Contender Series where he was knocked out for the second time by Vitor Betrino. He was knocked out in the second round of that fight. Really good first round between the two of the guys. You got to see Trator really did work the wrestling very well. Has good jiu-jitsu, was able to make his opponent uncomfortable on top at points. He's been knocked out twice by Vitor. Vitor, very, very good. We'll see how he does this weekend with Anton Turkulay. But, yeah, with Bellato, he's got the same amount of finishes with the strikes as with the jiu-jitsu, but definitely more of the wrestling and grappling has shown up as he's advanced in the level of competition he's faced. Last 3 wins coming by finish, 2 by KO, 2 by submission, the last by, and 1 by ground and pound as well. Carlos Eduardo, rear naked choke, triangle choke of Hyago Vieira. Hyago Vieira, a very good level of opponent. Vitor Petrino, he really had his moments. He was pushing the pace well as in that fight as well. I really think he overexerted himself, and it's just, I think, one of these situations where Petrino just has his kind of number. Here against the lower level opponent, 12-10, Matthias, he should have his way. I think he'll work the wrestling, work the ground and pound before getting most likely a submission. He has had 50% of his losses by KO, 5 of them, 3 submission losses as well. Last couple of losses, 1 being a doctor stoppage, the other being a rear naked choke. Has 2 finishes in there as well. He's been fighting pretty regularly, went 2-2 last year. Year before that went 3-1. So he's definitely, or 3-0 actually. So he's definitely been much better. 5 of his last 7 he has wins in. So yeah, not one I'm looking to get too involved in. We really don't know how good Meszaros is, not beating a huge level of competition. Bellato definitely beating the better level. What up, 2 cents? I'll see you tomorrow, boy. Yeah, I'll go with Bellato here. I'll go with him by submission, just because it does seem to be his focus. But with Meszaros, we don't really know what we're getting. He is 12-10, though, and not against the best level of competition. Getting over to the odds, right? We got Meszaros coming in at plus 550, minus 750 for the Contender Series loser in Bellato. If anything, yeah, take a shot in the dog. But yeah, Bellato should get it done inside the distance. So I'll take him by submission. That was at 205, by the way. Next fight, 155. Hell of a fight here. I really do like both these guys. Felipe Douglas, Cao Fernandez here. Felipe Douglas really impressed me in his last fight, I'll be honest. And I like the way that he's fighting. He's putting a good pressure on his opponent. We'll talk about Mr. Cao Fernandez first here. This is at lightweight again. Coming off of a win against Jose Arley with on the prelims of the LFA after the loss to Luan Sardinia. on the main card. Very good competitive fight. Had a good first round, Fernandez did. Just kind of ran out of gas there. Sardinia, a very wily veteran, put on a good pace and just kind of edged that one out. Moise, you are here. What is up? Yeah, I think that I think Fernandez gained a lot from that fight. Looked really good, kick to the body, first round knockout of an undefeated fighter the next time out. Now, however, going against a guy in Felipe Douglas, fights a lot like Sardinia at 30 years old. The lightweight Muay Thai fighter, really putting it all together. Vale Tudo top team is where he's out of, 5'10", so not huge, but just puts on a good pace. You see the knockouts, 9 knockouts, 3 submissions, 9 decisions on the record. The Angel Desa fight just completely frustrated him by the end. Really shut him out well. What is up? Johnny Be Great, a new regular? God forbid. But what up, man? He lost a hell of a war to Rafael Alves Bucao. Just kind of went in there, threw down. Was winning the fight till he was losing against Alves. No shame there to me. Has a win over Yoda Sandeno. Has wins over Marcio Andrade, Alexandro, and Hanjo De Sa in his last few. Was supposed to take on Italo Gomez. Taking on a good level of competition. He has been put away by strikes. He has been put away by rear naked choke as well, but pretty tough guy. I think he's going to be in the face of Fernandez. I think he's going to frustrate Fernandez. I think he'll take down Fernandez, mix it up at times on the feet. Very competitive as well, but I just think that for me, I like Felipe Douglas here. I like his pressure. I like his pace, his IQ. Just overall, I really think that he should be UFC bound by the end of the year. What up? Yeah, there we go. 2 cents saying, what up to Cardone? What up at Moyes? Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so with this fight, Felipe Douglas minus 280, I think it's justified. I think he's a parlayable piece as well. I would, I would edge towards the decision as well, but it's tough to say as well. But yeah, I like the price at this point. I think it will keep rising. Mr. Fernandez plus 220 as well. So good fight, going to be entertaining. Again, Brazil crime all night long. This is another example of that. I just think Felipe Douglas is a little further along in his career. Moving on to the bantamweight division, we got the battle of undefeateds. Juan Matsumoto out of Brazil, Marlon Basilio. This is 7-0 versus 12-0 at bantamweight here. Really good fight. Marlon Basilio has faced pretty low level of competition so far. That's one of my biggest concerns here, but he goes in, closes the distance very, very quickly. He's good power as well. Yeah, he's a good guy. He just hasn't fought the right level of competition yet for me. He's pretty wild and fights like a 7-0 guy who hasn't fought a kind of an opposition that's going to make him pay. Guy like Juan Matsumoto, really well-rounded everywhere. Experience in the LFA. He's very technical on the feet, high IQ as well. I think he's going to really kind of teach Marlon some lessons here in this fight. Yeah, it's to me, yeah, it's pretty set up for Matsumoto here. Credit to Marlon for taking the fight, but just going to Matsumoto, 12-0 here, 12 straight wins. Didn't have had one amateur fight against William Prado. Did lose that fight and lost in 40 seconds. Then gone on a tear since 12 straight wins, being guys like Vanderlei Jr., Luan Matheus, Carlos Henrique da Cruz, and Inaldo Santos in his last fight. Inaldo Santos, another pretty wild, push the pace type of guys, and Matsumoto just kind of a kryptonite for that type of style. So I like Matsumoto quite a bit. Yes, Johnny. Aaron is a hardworking predictor. I appreciate it. I like Matsumoto here. Minus 400 is a bit steep, but I do feel it's justified. He is facing an undefeated unknown commodity. Miss Devil in the house saying what's up. Appreciate the support from the Arkin Dome as always and beyond. Yeah, I liked bunching up these two favorites to start out after Bellotto with Felipe Douglas and then putting with Juan Matsumoto. You'll get the even money. But yeah, I like Matsumoto in this spot. And I think he gets a finish, honestly. I think that Basilio hasn't faced this level. And I think he's going to get a little exposed here. So next fight, mine is at 170. Carlos Prieta is taking on Eduardo Ramon, Eduardo Camelo. You can also look him up on YouTube and elsewhere to find a lot of his fights. But good fight here. Carlos Prieta is a very, very good striker. Reminds me in a lot of ways of Petrino, just really powerful, direct strikes, good Muay Thai. Not the most well-rounded, definitely where you can kind of mess with him is in the grappling. Eduardo Camelo, that is what he's going to do. Eduardo Ramon, he's going to push the grappling. 21-7, 31 years old, had taken quite a bit of time off before. He'd only taken off about a year between his Well Oliveira fight and Junior de Oliveira fight. The Well Oliveira fight, bit of a war there, it was a bit sloppy, honestly, and a guy like Well Oliveira taking into a third round and having him exposed in a lot of different scenarios before he finally got the finish was a little bit of a concern for me. With Prieta, he's clearly going to try to crowd. Prieta mixing up on the feet would be ill-advised with the grappling he has as well. Good arm bars. He's faced a decent level of competition. Cleaver Sosa was able to put him away. Daniel Brzaca as well. And so he has been put away by strikes a few times. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, for what it's worth, did beat him by grappling. So, Eduardo's got to make this a dogfight, man. He's got to make it dirty. With a guy like Prieta, he does kind of, take his time to get started at times. So once he does, he really does keep it going. Valley top team as well for him. Knocked out Rocha at the end of that first round. Power jab won his fight with Charles Oliveira, not the Charles Oliveira, but 5 straight finishes if you include his kickboxing fights. So he's good. Once he gets it started, he does tend to put you away. 3 first-round finishes in his last 4 fights as well. I like Prieta early. Eduardo Camelo can make this, I think, kind of a tougher, closer fight as it goes, though. And I'm curious if this gets out of the first round, how this begins to look. It's back and forth. For me, it is dog or pass. I'm going to wait to see how the money rolls in on Eduardo Ramon. He's currently plus 225. I'm going to hold off on it for now. Minus 285 on Carlos Prieta. He's looked great, but I am concerned how this looks as we go and if the grappling becomes a factor. I like Eduardo Camelo quite a bit. So I'm going to say Carlos Prieta by knockout, but I might be betting Eduardo Ramon by the end of the week. So that will do it for the non-title fights. We're on to the title fights. First title fight, not a lot of tape on it. It's the heavyweights. Eduardo Neves taking on Hyago Silva. I looked everywhere for Hyago Silva tape. I can't find it. So it is going to be a bit of a Tapology browse for him. But Neves on the Contender Series looked terrible. Looked like he had about 50 seconds of gas, and if he got grappled at all, he was going to crumble. Michael Parkin got the contract. BRT Hyago Silva, 6-0-1, 6 straight wins. Fighting out Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He has 3 KOs, 2 subs, and a decision, as well as a draw with the LFA against a good level of opponent, Richard Jacoby. Unfortunately, it was on the prelims and not on a prelim card where I was able to watch where they put it on Facebook. Sometimes they put them on YouTube. Sometimes they put them on Facebook. They should just all be on Fight Pass, but that's a rant for another day. Put away a 6-15 João Paulo dos Santos with elbows. Put away an 0-0 Alton Jr. Last October with a 40-second arm triangle. Alton Jr. has not scheduled another fight since then. No information. But what this does tell me is most likely he does have gas, as he has several decisions. He also has grappling and Eduardo Neves appeared to have neither one. I was very unimpressed with Neves on the Contender Series. I'm glad he has a win over Jackson Goncalves in his last fight with Quality Combat. It was a second-round knockout. He was supposed to be taking on Richard Jacoby last month. He tested positive for COVID with Thunder Fights. He's now fighting a 5-round heavyweight title fight here. Hyago Silva, based on me fading Neves. Neves is 60 seconds or bust, not even a round. 60 seconds or bust, tested positive for COVID, possibly has to go 5 rounds. Neves will crumble as this goes. Hyago Silva, plus 105 right now. Take it. Go ahead, take the dog shot here. Neves is KO or bust, and he's KO or bust for like 55 seconds, maybe not even a minute. I was so unimpressed with what I saw on Parkin, and I get he has that second round KO in his last fight of a very low level of opponent. I think Hyago Silva is high enough level of opponent that mixes in the ground and pound and puts him away with the submission win. Heavyweight champion Hyago Silva, 7-0-1. Finally get to see him in there. This is all. I couldn't even find highlights. So he is a finisher. He's been on the LFA prelims before Neves has. So, maybe he gets the KO finish. He had the first round finish of Vieira on the main card. Had a second round finish his last time out. Maybe he's worked on it, but I'll take Silva. Plus 105. All right. On to the main event. Hell of a main event. Another Dana White Contender Series reject, Jansey Silva. He lost to Omar Gadziev on the Contender Series, Omar Gadziev by knee bar. So looked okay on the feet before it got down on the ground. Definitely has some issues, to say the least, but very good striker, tall Muay Thai style striker as well. 3, and I got you for sure. Yeah, COVID is a niche. So, yeah, get the plus money on the blind resume of Hyago Silva. Zhang Li, 3-fight money line parlay coming at the end. I got you. Jansey Silva, it's good on the feet. When you put it on the ground, he has a little bit of trouble. Marcio Carbal, last April, he was able to put together a 3-round decision, 30-27 on all the scorecards there. Before that, it faced a pretty low level of competition, was mostly a finisher. They get finished by a Wesley Silva back in 2018. But yeah, for the most part, hasn't faced a level of competition that gives me the confidence. Lucas Fernando, man, this guy is one of my favorite guys in the LFA right now. I feel like it's the long lost Bonfim brother, who's now a Bonfim brother. Just fights like these guys, though. Looks like them, really long, powerful striker. Does not look like he hits hard yet. Here he is, putting guys away. 6'3", uses every bit of his reach as well. He's well-rounded, has a few submissions and KO wins. Put away the former Bellator fighter Fabio Aguirre in his last fight, who had a win against Taylor Johnson and a few other wins coming into that 18-3. Put him away in 3 minutes. Really clean knockout there. Rogerio Lima, he'd been off for a few years, but came in with a really sharp game plan, pressured, was tough. I mean, the way that Lucas Fernando hurt him early and kind of kept him on his back foot for so much, really impressive. And then João Vitor Dantas, his LFA debut, put him away with the flying knee, and then had a 1-2 before the flying knee, and then a 1-2-3 after it. Long, accurate striker. He's very tricky. Lost to Diego Diaz, no shame there as well by decision. He's got some good jiu-jitsu as well. So I think if it is close on the feet, I could see him using that. For me, Lucas Fernando has everything that I look for in a future UFC fighter, or whichever organization picks him up. I think this guy's really good. I think he wins this fight, moves on to a Contender Series or better. Fernando minus 240. It's a tough, go around against the plus 180 in Jansey Silva. He lost by a knee bar on the feet. It's very, very close. So that's what gives me hesitation here. But I still do like the favorite in Lucas Fernando, if I'm being honest. In my 3-fight parlay, if I was doing it even just for the LFA here, Zhang Li, and I'll give you my official for the cross would be I would take Felipe Douglas, Juan Matsumoto, and Lucas Fernando as well. So I do a chalk, but those three I like for the LFA. We're going to swing over for a quick little breakdown of the PFL. I'm not going to go into as much detail with these. These are more just leans, but take what you will from that, and then we'll call it a day. I'll give you your 3-fight parlay at the end. Cross the 2 fight cards, Zhongli. But again, I don't mind the one just on the LFA. I like most of the fights to bet on that I mentioned as well. So PFL Challenger Series Week 7, 205ers. Starting out, Roland Dunlap versus Monte Morrison. Monte, known as the Python, 6'3", 29 years old, American top team, taking on the Oceanside, California wrestler in the Dream, Roland Dunlap here out of Finish Strong. Really liked what I've seen out of Roland Dunlap. Just a little worried about the injuries. He's a wrestler, got the karate style as well. The University of Wisconsin, Whitewater, very good wrestling school. Could put a beating on Riot Walter, but he is a 3-6 guy. Minus 650 did not put him away. Was supposed to face Joseph Holmes. That fight was scrapped due to Joseph Holmes going to the UFC. Was supposed to face Salim as well as Mike Johnson. So has been trying to get in there with a good level of opponents. What I'm worried about is Dunlap got sick in his weight cut the last time out. The slam finish of Oben Ikbuna, go ahead and look at that. That shows the wrestling, shows the power as well. Well-rounded as an amateur, tested, only loss coming to Jamal Poges as well. Monte Morrison, very big, very intimidating kickboxer, very inactive with his strikes, sometimes only throwing single strikes, getting away with the physical gifts a little bit too much for my liking. And his foundation is I turn strikers into wrestlers. So I like the confidence there. I think that's quite funny. 3 finishes, although the Zach Dalen finish, it was a leg injury, but it was also a knockout. So legit KO power out of Morrison here. Roland Dunlap, legit wrestling. Morrison's going to have the size, but I think Dunlap gets in on the legs, rinse and repeat. Wrestling performance for me out of Roland Dunlap. So give me Roland Dunlap. I think that getting a finish obviously be ideal, but I think most likely gets the decision. I think gonna just have to mind his P's and Q's. Minus 120 on Dunlap, minus 110 on Monte. The first couple fights are pretty close here, so definitely like that. Next fight, Tristan Overrig against Billy Elikana. I'll say this right now. Billy is every bit big enough to be at 205. So I think that not cutting to 185 is going to be hugely, hugely beneficial for him. Hits very, very well-rounded. Minds his P's and Q's. He's been pretty well tested as well. In 4-1, the last fight, I do feel the reason he lost that split to Daniel Compton was it was a tough weight cut. It was a catch weight fight. I just think that at 205 he's much better suited. Good, powerful finish of Coleman Scribner, a guy who I respect quite a bit. Rear naked choke on Raven Baxter, and then a couple decisions as well. Jeff Nielsen, a good wrestler that he was able to stifle. Has a draw with Gorder as an amateur, but has wins over Brian Battle and Sullivan Cauley on the amateur scene as well. Joe Flores. So like a lot of what I've seen out of him. Tristan Overrig, he's fine. He's got good grappling. He's been up to heavyweight and beat Anthony Garrett up there, where Anthony Garrett was kind of tooling him up on the feet a little bit before he got it to the ground. His wrestling's not outstanding, but when he gets to the ground, good jiu-jitsu, a couple finishes, 3 straight finishes by submission, tested himself in grappling as well. Went to a decision with Nick Klein back at light heavyweight. He is definitely a light heavyweight. I think Billy's going to push the pace, and Billy gets the decision win here. Very close fight. I just think that Billy has a little more X factors and enough to edge this one out. Minus 150 on Billy, plus 120 on Tristan. I think that's pretty fair, but be interested in a middleweight coming up and a guy who's far a heavyweight coming down. So next fight, Taylor Johnson, Trey Williams. Trey Williams, to me, just doesn't have the defensive wrestling needed to give a guy like Taylor Johnson the problems. But lost to Chuck Campbell. Honestly, kind of a troubling loss too, as we've seen how Chuck's done. Lost to Aaron Phillips, lost to Anthony Hernandez in 50 seconds on his debut. No shame there. He's been around the game for a while. Typically, grinds goes to a decision. Does have a few KOs on the record as well. Taylor Johnson, I think, grinds this one out though. Good wrestling, good submission game as well. Good ground and pound on the feet. He has some power. Two of his last three, he's gotten the wins in. Got a rear naked choke of Lance Wright, lost to Fabio Aguilar in a very close split decision, and then came back on Challenger Series. He used that wrestling against Popek for 3 rounds. Looked really good there. I think he does a similar type of thing here to Trey Williams. Minus 275, I want no part of it. Plus 215 on Trey Williams, I want no part of it. Taylor by decision. And the main event, Impa Kasagane versus Osama El Sidi. This is just a circus fight if I've ever seen one. Honestly, this is one that I think could go either way. With Omar out of Egypt, though, he's very, very athletic, very, very muscular, I should say. The gas tank I get a little worried about here. The overall game I get worried about. He has a split decision loss, and Mustafa Rashid and Nada came back and knocked him out. In 2016, those fights happened. Got submitted by Sam Antar. Took off 4 years, came back and knocked out in 54 seconds on Muhammad Ali Salam. Just hasn't faced a good level of competition. Relies a lot on the power here. Impa coming up to 205. Who knows what's going to happen here at 205. Coming off of a knockout of Jared Gordon at middleweight. Was looking good there. Was going to take on Marcus Perez. Marcus Perez came out of the fight. Now he's at 205 taking on a guy named Osama El Sidi. Carlston Harris got the knockout of him. Magomed Medaliev. Split decision there, and that was a fight that was at welterweight. Joaquin Buckley knocked him out. So he's been knocked out a couple times, obviously. Osama's KO or bust. I don't know how he's going to look after about the 3-4 minute mark. So Impa, as long as he minds his P's and Q's, should win a decision. But I want no part of the price on him, which last I checked was ridiculous, minus 400, plus 275 KO or bust Osama. For the 3-fight parlay, Zhang Li. I will be putting her for the 3-fight. Honestly, the LFA, Felipe Douglas, I like him to get it done as well. As, honestly, I don't feel good enough on any of the PFL ones to really put them in the 3-fight parlay. If I was, it would be Roland Dunlap from the PFL, though. So I'll take the minus 120 Roland Dunlap here to get it done. From the LFA, we will be putting in Mr. Juan Matsumoto at minus 400 and Felipe Douglas at minus 275, getting you to a positive 3-fight money line parlay Zhang Li. But yeah, that's going to do it for the other 2 fight cards on Friday night. I will be back tomorrow with just my 2 cents. I will be back tomorrow with Lubecha, 2 p.m. Eastern time, UFC breakdown show. Had a great week last week. Hoping to keep that momentum going into this week. Unfortunately, Lewis will not be joining us, but shout out to Lewis on the call on John Jones and many others last week. But that's going to do it for the breakdown show today, everybody. Just a really quick, tidy one. We had the 5-6 fight breakdown from the LFA, the 4-fight PFL breakdown. Timestamps will be in the comments right after that. But I am out for today. Thank you, Johnny Be Good. Thank you, Miss Devo. Thank you, General Alex. Thank you, Just My 2 Cents, Moist Audio, Kelly, everybody else who's making the stops over before or after. I really appreciate all of the support. We are in SD Dumas Fight Week. We got Fernando Padilla fight announcement. It's a good time on the channel for the fighters we're supporting. So let's go, and I will see you tomorrow for the UFC Breakdown Show. Peace out.